I'm a possum, and... What's that noise? What now? No! It can't be! This is impossible! It's John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars! Curse you, Martian scum! Well, I guess this is what I'm reviewing now. Today's garbage is Ghosts of Mars, directed by John Carpenter. Yes, that John Carpenter. The guy directed Halloween, Escape from New York, The Thing, and Big Trouble in Little China. This was his second to last movie before his career petered out, and he gave up on making movies altogether. So in the 1990s, John Carpenter and some guy named Larry Sulkus came up with the idea to make a movie set on the planet Mars after it had been colonized by a matriarchal society, where the fact that it's a matriarchal society has nothing to do with the story. Sony Pictures subsidiary Screen Gems cast Jason Statham to play the character Desolation Williams, but then they put him in a smaller role and gave his character to Ice Cube because he had more star power at the time. Insert War of the Worlds joke here. Carpenter took inspiration from the work of some filmmaker no one born after the Korean War has heard of, named Howard Hawks, to make a sort of sci-fi western, but with ghosts that turn people into zombies or something. And they filmed it in a gypsum mine somewhere in New Mexico where they dyed the rocks red with food coloring, and relied mostly on practical effects, and then John Carpenter did the music himself. Then the movie came out in August of 2001, made $14 million against a budget of $28 million, and critics started pelting John Carpenter with feces and calling his mother ugly. Alright, that's enough, on to the review. The movie starts in the year 2176 AD, and some hole narrates about rumors spreading around the colonies on Mars.
Something that had been buried for centuries has just been uncovered.
So some mysterious ancient force has been going around making people not alive anymore, but that's not stopping the rave. Then we see a toy train.
You didn't know that was a model?
No, it looks like what we set up the train station out in New Mexico to me.
It looks like that real guy. That's a little tiny model.
Really? It looks good.
Well, you see, if all the audience is as unsophisticated as you are, then
We'll be fine.
We're in good shape.
Yeah.
The train rolls up to a drawing of Chryse, the first city on Mars, and then a bunch of old people sit down in some kind of council chamber. We dissolve to these guys cutting open the door in the train where they find a woman handcuffed to a bunk. This is our protagonist, Police Lieutenant Melanie Ballard, played by Natasha Henstridge, who played the alien in Species. She's the only survivor of some incident at some place called Shining Canyon Mine, and she was found full of illegal substances.
Traces of an illegal substance, tetramonochloride, were found in her system.
I was found full of illegal substances once, or twice, or more than twice. Lieutenant Ballard is brought before the council to explain what happened, because this is one of those movies where the entire thing is a big flashback. I'm generally not a fan of this type of storytelling because it often comes across like they needed a framing device to explain the plot when the story wasn't told well enough to make sense when presented in a linear fashion. Or the beginning was too boring, so they decided to do this back and forth thing so it would start with the more exciting stuff in the middle of the story, which is pretty much the reason John Carpenter said he did it in the commentary.
And when I finished it and read it, I thought, this is so familiar.
Mm-hmm.
It's like touring your own living room.
Mm-hmm. Keep you going. Keep it moving. Because once you get the long scenes and the long,
That's it.
As we dissolve to another shot of the toy train, Ballard says she and her squad hitched a ride on a freight train to Shining Canyon. I guess because Mars police don't have cars. We see Jason Statham trying and failing to commit career suicide, and this other lady named Bashira comes in to tell the token black lady about the weather. The train shakes, the Ballad takes an Altoid out of her necklace thing, and the mint is so curiously strong that she starts hallucinating ocean waves. The black lady, her name's Commander Helena Braddock, tells Ballard that picking up a prisoner named Desolation Williams, who's been charged with causing people to not be alive anymore, and then she starts touching her.
I need you straight, Melanie.
Don't worry about that, Commander. Straight as they come.
Such a shame.
See, it's okay for her to be a creep with her subordinates because she's a woman. Ballard goes to talk to Pappy from Planet Raptor.
How long?
About 40. Then Jason Statham starts putting moves on her.
Sergeant, you were seriously out of line.
Braddock reminds everyone how dangerous Desolation Williams is, and then we dissolve to the toy train arriving at a model train station. Pappy tells Ballard the train's leaving and will be back in 4 hours because the plot demands it. Then Braddock tells everyone to put on their breathers because the air isn't going to be fully Earth-like until terraforming is complete in another 10 years, and having the characters need to wear spacesuits would have added complications to the production. Then they disembark into Shining Canyon. By the way, we never actually see them using the breathers. The movie could have just not addressed it at all and been better off. Jason Statham walks around with his German G36 rifle because Hollywood assumes American audiences won't recognize guns from other countries and will just accept them as futuristic guns from 200 years in the future, and they realize there's no one there. We dissolve to an unwarranted flashback of people walking around, then Braddock tells Ballard and Jason Statham to go check out the jail while she and the others putz around. Then we dissolve to 10 seconds later when Ballard asks Jason Statham his totally unimportant backstory. They make their way to the jail, and Jason Statham hits on Ballard again.
There's not many of us breeders around.
I guess I should have mentioned that men are a minority in this futuristic society. It's never explained how or why that happened, but based on the laws of supply and demand, we can infer that sandwiches have gotten much cheaper. Ballard looks at some 90s era production monitors, which the movie wants us to believe are futuristic security monitors, and sees Desolation Williams in his cell, but there's no one around to open the door, so they piss off back outside where they see lights flashing in one of the buildings and decide to investigate. They go in the building and find the walls splattered with blood, what appear to be improvised weapons made of office supplies, and a woman's severed arm. Then they go back outside, and the movie dissolves to 2 seconds later, and then it dissolves to another 2 seconds later, and then they get jump scared by this guy named Descanso. He tells Ballard the recreation facility is a slaughterhouse.
Slaughterhouse?
Since the councilwoman doesn't know what a slaughterhouse is, Ballard goes on to explain that she didn't see it herself, so the movie flashes back to what the others were doing while she and Jason Statham were screwing around. They go into the rec center and find a bunch of corpses hanging upside down from the ceiling, then Bashira tells Braddock she can't contact the train. Braddock tells her to keep trying, then tells Ballard that Desolation Williams was arrested under suspicion of making people not alive, when bodies were found hung up the same way they just found them in the rec center, but he was apparently locked up when all of these people were made not alive anymore. They go looking around for records, don't find anything useful, then Jason Statham gets the door to the jail open, but he still can't get Ballard's legs open. They go in and find a cell with 4 people in it named Akuche, Zimmerman, Benchley, and Whitlock. Whitlock isn't on the prisoner list, so she explains that she's a science officer who fled from another mining site and locked herself in the cell because it was the safest place. Speaking from experience, you only really feel safe in a jail cell when Tyrone is there to hold you and keep you warm. We dissolve to a flashback of Whitlock flying around in a hot air balloon.
Fake balloon shot on Mars? Well, it's, I guess, I don't know. We struggled with the effects. We didn't have a whole lot of money. We had to pay your salary, so it came out of the effects.
Effects should look a lot better than that if you're talking deducting it from my salary.
Whitlock crashes the balloon, and then we dissolve to another shot of her crashing, and then we dissolve to another. This movie dissolves more than my self-esteem when I use a dating app, because, you know, smartphones these days are complicated and they make me feel old when I struggle to use them. Ballard and Jason Statham find Desolation Williams, played by Ice Cube, who always looks like he smells da poo-poo.
Very, very intense guy.
They ask him if he knows what's going on, but he wants to be mysterious, so they just leave him in his cell the same way the government left behind an entire generation of kids during the pandemic. We dissolve to Ballard accusing Jason Statham of having a small panunu for no reason. Sorry, YouTube doesn't like that word. Then they hear something banging on a door. They tell Bashira to get Braddock, and then we wipe, not a dissolve this time, but a wipe because they had a substitute editor that day, and he was punished severely, to Bashira coming back with Braddock and Descanso. They open the door and this woman falls down and acts like she's on illegal substances, but her POV tells us there's something more going on.
It was almost like she was possessed.
I don't know what her fingers were glowing for, but it just seemed like a good effect.
It looked interesting.
It looked interesting.
Sometime later, Ballard and Braddock find some kind of Mars rover and get jump scared by a guy with a knife who yells at them not to open the door. Braddock walks around to the other side. The movie does that horror movie cliche where something rushes past the camera while no one's looking, and then the guy cuts his own throat. Just in the neck of time. Ballard runs behind the rover and sees Braddock has suddenly disappeared. Then Jason Statham shows up. He speculates that the guy might have had some kind of contagion, so they should just leave him in there, and they don't see the ghost watching them from inside. Jason Statham suggests to Ballard that she should go back to the jail while he goes looking for Braddock, so Ballard goes back and finds Desolation Williams holding Bashira at knife point and still looking like he smells the poo-poo. She apparently let him out to feed him and, like the professional she is, somehow didn't know he would try to do something like this. You know, every time I see this situation in a movie, I always think about how one of the characters can just point out how if the hostage taker makes the human shield not alive, there'll be nothing stopping the others from making them not alive. So really, he's not the one with the upper hand in this situation. And even though both Ballard and Descanso have a clear shot at his head, Ballard decides to trade himself for Bashira and tells Descanso to put his gun down. So Desolation Williams grabs her, but then she does some kung fu nonsense, but then she just stands there and lets him knock her out. So much for the whole strong female character thing. Ballard wakes up totally fine because concussions don't exist in movies, and Bashira tells her Williams ran off, so they all go looking for him. She goes to what I guess is supposed to be the clinic, even though it's full of steam pipes because of sci-fi tropes, and sees a bunch of people acting weird, and gets ambushed by a knife-wielding maniac. Desolation Williams runs in and saves her, but then he gets distracted by another crazy person attacking him, so Ballard points a gun at him and tells him to come with her, and then we get a POV shot of some kind of ghost. Back at the jail, Ballard asks Williams what happened, and then we get a flashback to him walking into a building full of corpses and finding a sack full of cash. Ballard tells him she doesn't think he made those people not alive, but it's not up to her to let him go, so they lock him up. We flash forward to the councilwoman asking Ballard where Braddock was during all this, and then we flash back to Jason Statham looking for her and seeing a woman impaling Braddock's severed head on a pole next to a bunch of other heads, and then seeing a bunch of wackos cheering while this big guy on the roof yells a bunch of gibberish. He sounds like those aliens from Rick and Morty.
Earth, please? Is this... do I pay? Hey, what? I don't... what do you want?
Jason Statham watches this guy decapitate a bunch of people, then gets on his radio and tells Ballard that Commander Braddock is dead, but then his radio cuts out. Ballard pulls Whitlock out of the cell and yells at her to explain what's going on, and she says she thinks there's some kind of dormant organism that was living under the surface of Mars, which they woke up, and now it's possessing people. Then Descanso tells Ballard that Jason Statham found 3 other survivors and is bringing them in now. Just then, that woman they found earlier attacks Whitlock and Ballard shoots her.
I'm alright, but it's out of the body now. Yeah, it's loose in here.
So the ghost flies around looking for someone to possess, and for some reason, it chooses the decrepit old man who's locked up in a cage. Well, no one ever said the ghosts of Mars were smart. Anyway, Jason Statham tells Ballard on the radio to let him in with the guys he found. We get another flashback to Jason Statham running from the possessed guys who somehow didn't see him before these 3 guys pulled him into the building they were hiding in. They explained the possessed people used to be miners before they all went crazy. Then we get a flashback within a flashback to these 3 guys planning some kind of heist when they saw a red mist roll down from the mountains and seemingly make everyone not alive anymore. But then they got up and started doing things like cutting themselves and filing their teeth.
Killing the ones who hadn't changed.
Cutting people's faces off.
Jason Statham asks them if they have any weapons, and this guy points out that they have a case full of detonators. I suppose there's worse things you can have a case of. Oh, the Martian's back. What? What'd you say? Speak English! I can't understand you! What? Stop yelling! What the hell's your problem? Shut up! Talking louder doesn't make you easier to understand! Shut the fuck up! Can you even hear me? Do you have a neurological condition? What do you want? Want money? Don't have any money! What the fuck kind of ghetto-ass trash planet is this anyway? Listen, get back close! You get spit on your planet and get some! I hope you get disease and die, you piece of shit! Get your entire garbage planet! Give it every other Martian! Bars! All your candy bars! You belong in a zoo! People should be taking your picture and throwing peanuts at you! Yeah, go on! Get the f*** out of here! F*** off! You f***ing asshole! Prick! I think I'll just lay down for a minute. Here we go. Back in the jail, the three guys pull out guns and tell the cops to drop theirs. It turns out these guys are Williams' gang. They threaten Ballard to let him out, but Jason Statham points out that they should probably work together to survive while there's a bunch of psychos outside. Of course this guy doesn't listen, so Ballard and Jason Statham take them to Williams and open his cell.
Spot planters.
The movie expects us to believe these guys managed to survive until now.
You don't open that door, I'm gonna blow your head off.
Then your asses will never get out.
Ballard gets Williams to agree to have his gang hand over the guns and work with her squad to survive. Then she and Jason Statham let them out. Williams introduces his gang.
These my compadres. Uno, dos, and tres.
Uno threatens Ballard, but then she does some more kung fu nonsense. Then they go to let the other prisoners out of the other cell. But then they see Benchley clawing at his own face and realize he's possessed, so they decide to just leave him there. Everyone goes to what I guess is the security office to grab a bunch of guns. Then this guy Dose huffs some kind of called laughter, and then they come up with the idea to put the detonators in food cans to make improvised hand grenades, and then this happens.
That's what you get, dumbass.
So I guess their plan now is to run to the train, which is 50 meters away, and it appears to be clear, so they go outside and the train isn't even there.
We don't see no train.
It'll be here.
So instead of waiting for the train to arrive and then going outside, Ballard decides to just have them all stand outside in the open to wait for it. And the movie expects us to believe she managed to survive until now. So they're walking along, and then one of the buildings blows up, and then the possessed guys show up and start throwing their trash at them. So that guy just casually dies and no one even acknowledges it. I bet you don't even remember his name. He had about as much impact on the story as the actor who played him did on real life.
Where's the train? I don't know.
So Ballard didn't even confirm that the train was coming before she let everyone outside with the wackos. Why is everyone listening to her again? Oh yeah, because she's the protagonist.
You got any fresh ideas?
Yeah, what we should have done in the first place. Come on, you mindless motherfuckers!
Then all hell breaks loose as John Carpenter shows off his rock and metal music skills. Alright, enough of that. Dose unceremoniously gets blown up, then Uno gets possessed by a Martian ghost. Williams realizes he's possessed and leaves him behind, and then the lead wacko shows up. Then someone runs up and stabs Trace, then Descanso casually gets his arm cut off. Williams drags Trace into the building while Descanso gets decapitated. They all lock themselves in the building, and then we get this brilliant performance.
Where's your brother?
He didn't make it.
Oh, God.
Maybe the reason Ice Cube looks like he smells the poo-poo all the time is that was the price he paid for making a deal with the devil for his incredible acting talent. Anyway, it turns out Uno was Williams' brother, not that it means anything. The wackos walk around outside, the Ballard and Whitlock look at Benchley in the cell, still possessed, and Whitlock speculates that the ghost possessing everyone might be some kind of airborne parasite that travels on the wind to a new host whenever their host dies. Then she tells Ballard what happened at the other mine. We get a flashback to the miners blowing up a mountain and finding some kind of ancient tomb with some kind of vault inside. Whitlock touches the door, and it disintegrates at her touch like any good vault door should, and an evil red vapor escapes. Then Bashira comes walking up and gets jump-scared by Benchley. Jason Statham tells Ballard that he and Williams barricaded the back door and suggests they make a run for the rover he saw parked outside, but now Ballard says they should wait for the train. A bunch of stuff blows up outside, then Ballard and Williams have a moment.
Don't you believe in anything?
I believe in staying alive.
Great conversation. We learned so much about their characters. Back at the jail, Bashira stares at Benchley, then Jason Statham calls Ballard over to check out this room he found, and Ballard realizes he's trying to seduce her.
Yeah, well, the way things are going, I thought this might be our last chance to dance.
Yeah.
They're interrupted by the sound of gunshots, so they run back to the jail and find Bashira shot Benchley for no reason. Seriously, she shot him for no reason other than she didn't like him.
F*** him, whatever the f*** he is.
Ballard realizes the ghost is out, and I guess Bashira didn't know about the ghosts switching bodies and no one told her, so she just shot this guy that she was entrusted to watch for no reason, and now this Martian ghost is on the loose and it possesses Ballard. We get Ballard's POV as the others gather around and decide to dump her outside, but then Williams pulls out Ballard's necklace thing.
I stole it.
Do you know what it is? It's a stash.
Jason Statham puts a pill in Ballard's mouth. Then they just leave her there as she starts having nightmare visions about the Martians, and we see what I guess is how they originally looked before they became ghosts, and I guess they were like weird fish people for some reason. She then gets up and pukes out the red ghost gas, and I guess it just kind of disappears. So it turns out you can exorcise a ghost by dropping acid. Really, that's actually a plot point in this movie. The protagonist does drugs, and her self-destructive habit saves her life. Maybe the ghost saw all the holes in her brain and it triggered its trypophobia or something. I don't know. But you're telling me that she was the only one out of all these people who does drugs? Like none of these miserable, underpaid mine workers living in a company town were doing that? Like even with a prescription? Whatever. Ballard bangs on the door, but then this guy attacks her. Yeah, there's just like one nearby for some reason. She easily defeats him and takes his ridiculous sword thing and ties it to a rope and uses to climb over the wall. And this causes an alarm to go off inside, then everyone sees Ballard on the monitor. They decide to let her in, and she explains that she had a vision of the Martians' plans to make everyone who comes to the planet not alive anymore, which is something I think we already figured out by now. And then they see the possessed guys have built a battering ram, so they prepare for battle. The possessed guys bust the door down and come pouring in, so Ballard, Williams, Jason Statham, and Bashira start shooting, and even though the gang is making these guys not alive anymore by the dozen, the ghosts which we just established hop from the dead to the living never possess any of them. I guess that only happens when the writer wants it to. One of the ghosts flies at them, but they just close a door, and I guess the ghosts can't get through doors, so they're safe until the lead possessed guy, who's named Big Daddy in the credits, comes bursting in through the roof, but they promptly light him on fire. They fight their way out of the building. That lady Akushe gets stabbed so quickly and casually that you would miss it if you blinked, but she was such an unimportant character that you probably forgot she even existed until now. Then it turns out Big Daddy's still alive. Everybody runs outside, and I guess all the possessed are in the building because none of them are out here now, and Bashira climbs up a radio tower or something, sees the train, and calls Pappy.
This is the train. Where the hell have you been?
Where the hell have you been?
Then they all get in the rover thing and drive out of town as everything explodes around them for no reason at all. It's like the mere presence of Martian ghosts causes explosions. I don't know. They make their way to the train and speed off. Sometime later, Ballard tells Pappy to bring the train back because she realizes they have to go back and destroy all the possessed to stop the ghosts.
I'm gonna die fighting, not running.
So I guess they turn the train around and Whitlock says they could blow up the local nuclear power plant, because of course this tiny mining outpost has one.
If we blew up the nuclear power station, what would happen?
Sorry, I meant to say nuclear power plant. Yeah, the movie's doing that whole blow up the power plant thing because stupid Hollywood writers think a nuclear power plant is just a nuclear bomb with a maxi pad shaped tower built around it for no reason.
Try saying no to these salty parabolas.
Would it kill them?
It'd certainly destroy their human hosts, but as for them, hell, I don't know.
So the movie acknowledges that destroying the possessed would probably just result in the ghosts getting loose to possess other people, but they decide to go through with this plan anyway. So the train goes back to Shining Canyon, and Ballard, Whitlock, and Jason Statham run to the power plant while the others stay behind on the train as a distraction and to provide cover. But because Ballard decided to just stand out in the open where anyone can see her, Big Daddy sees her. She gets on the radio and tells the train to start moving while the possessed all rush to attack. More mindless action happens, and all of these assholes decide to get off the train for some reason. Even Pappy gets off, and he's supposed to be driving it. Whitlock gets possessed and disappears from the movie, Pappy dies, Ballard gets injured, Bashira gets decapitated, Jason Statham gets chopped up, and the other train dude dies. Everyone dies at the same time. All they had to do was stay on the train, but the movie had them all jump off for no reason, other than because the plot needed it to just be Ballard and Williams at the end. Anyway, Ballard and Williams escape in the train, but some of the possessed climb onto the roof, and Ballard and Williams hear them. So Williams goes to blow them up, leaving Ballard alone. Williams throws one of the detonators into the train car, which is full of dynamite for some reason, while Ballard goes to investigate a noise outside, which sounds suspiciously like a possessed guy climbing around on the train. And it turns out to be the sound of a possessed guy climbing around on the train. So Ballard fights this guy while Williams fights Big Daddy. And while Williams fights the big bad guy, Ballard fights just some guy. Now, storytelling logic would have you expect Ballard to fight Big Daddy, while Williams fights Uno, who got possessed earlier, right? Like, that would be a big tragic twist? But no, Williams fights the main bad guy, while protagonist fights just some guy. Did you even remember that Uno got possessed earlier? Well, the movie never does anything with it. He just kind of disappeared from the movie after that. Anyway, Williams manages to detach the train car while Big Daddy is trapped on it.
See you later, you big motherfucker!
Ballard throws the other guy off, then the reactor explodes, presumably destroying all of the Martian ghosts. Sometime later, Williams stitches up Ballard's gash. I mean the one on her leg, not the one between her legs. She says she'll get her superiors to drop the charges against him, but then he handcuffs her to the bunk.
Can't let you turn me in.
I can't let you walk.
What you gonna do? F***ing shoot me?
So Ballard lets Williams walk away, and I guess he just jumped off a moving train somewhere. We cut back to the council meeting where Ballard lies about Williams handcuffing her and sneaking off while she slept, and then they tell her to f*** off. Later, Ballard is woken up by the sound of an emergency broadcast. She gets up, then Williams comes bursting in with his ridiculous chrome machine guns and tosses one to her.
If you ever want to come to the other side, you'd make a hell of a crook.
You'd make a hell of a cop. Nah.
Ice Cube looks at the camera as the movie fades to black, then the movie ends. So that's Ghosts of Mars. What the f*** you arrogant prick! Get playing! Get family! You're religion and all your traditions! I'm missing Halloween back on Earth because of you! I hope Elon Musk takes a dump in your sink!